Hi everyone, this is the Agent Lab. This has never happened before. DAFUQ deleted part 4 of episode 67 and re-uploaded it. The most interesting thing is that he changed the series itself, and it is slightly different. And what exactly he changed you will find out later. Now let's take this part apart and understand what was going on here. After all, for the first time in the history of the episode we heard DAFUQ, and he appeared right in front of our eyes. Tonight we find out. What's the scientist up to this time? Is the DAFUQ helping us sincerely, or is this his self-serving plan? What is wrong with this red cameraman, and why is he a traitor? Apart from all this, as usual, I will tell you about all the other details and secrets of this part. So make sure you put a like, watch this video from the beginning to the very end, so you don't miss anything important. And we friends, let's get started. In the opening scene, we see the original scientist come out of the fake scientist's head. That is, the big scientist in question was only being controlled by him. After that, we are shown the three Titans. This is exactly the legendary scene we have been waiting for a very long time. Of course, the TV man Titan helps his friend and gets back his lens that he lost in the fight with the fake scientist. As for Titan's Speaker Man, it's a bit of a different story here. Because as we remember in their last encounter, the infected Titan's Speakerman hit TV man Titan's screen. And the latter is at least not happy about it. So he shows his finger and says, "Don't stab me." Of course it was probably said in jest, because he realizes that the speaker did not do it of his own free will. Then something very interesting happens. First of all, we see three versions of G-Man. They are all obviously not real. The first G-Man is taken from memes, as well as something similar we saw in the funny leaked episode 63 personally from DAFUQ. So this is the case when the joke about 1,000,000 lasers went too far, and DAFUQ will not stop surprising us with more and more of them. About the second version, I will not focus on him too much, only to say that his face is very similar to the face of G-Man from the funny leak. And this fake team is completed by the third brother, who has 4 circular saws instead of hands. Most likely Cameraman Titan will steal one of them because, as we remember in the third part, he lost his hand again. Our camera then turns left, back to the Titans. And what do we see here? The TV man Titan is showing 4 different emotions on each of the screens. I think he has a split personality. First of all, we immediately notice his main emotion, with which he seems to be saying, "Who are you? I didn't call you." On the left screen we can see a laughing emoticon, and on the right screen a sad emoticon mixed with anger, which we have already seen in earlier episodes. And on the belt, it looks a little bit like a TV woman smiley face. Something cute too. That is, as you may have noticed, each of the screens are not similar to each other, which is likely to confirm my previous theory that the TV Man Titan may have. Each screen has its own separate intelligence, and the TV Man engineers purposely made them that way so that when one of the TVs failed, the other screens could take control of the body. What's also interesting is that you can see him thrusting his sword forward with a sudden movement of his arm. And as we said in the TV Man Titan, this is done so that the sword can receive the power of the core. By the way, if you haven't watched this video, you can watch it after this video. I would also like to add about this point. Here you can notice that under the main layer of the screen there is another screen of purple color. However, what it hides there, it is still a mystery. Next, the TV Man Titan flies into battle against the G-Men using his huge jetpack. What's interesting is that DAFUQ has changed the color of his fire. Whereas before TV Man flew and had the color of normal fire like everyone else, DAFUQ now makes all Titans' lights the color of their core. When TV Man went into battle, the Cameraman Titan along with the Speaker Man also went to help him, but afterwards something happens that has never happened before. We see DAFUQ intercept our camera and appear in front of us as a hologram. His image is accompanied along with a caption and voiceover in which he sends us advice to look to our left. And what do you think? When we looked left, we saw the original scientist. In fact, DAFUQ helped us to pay attention to him, because if it wasn't for his message, our Chamberlain would most likely have continued to watch the Titans, and would have missed the main villain from under our noses. Here begins the most interesting thing. Our cameraman tries to kill the scientist with his missiles, but he successfully escapes from him. But our cameraman did not stop there and flew after him. He was lucky that he managed to fly through, and the others were lucky that the big speaker held the door, and due to this, a couple of strong fighters managed to run inside. Among those who infiltrated the base, Skibidi Toilets, are black speakermen, red cameramen, several regular speakermen, and cameramen, as well as cameramen twins, about them a little later, and of course at the end of our favorite plunger. Yes, friends, he survived, of course without his glitch toilet, and a second plunger. However, I am very glad that he is alive and will continue to please us with his feats. What's interesting is that as they walk in the background, you can see the G-Man fake in action, and it looks like he's coming forward quite successfully. Of course, they don't stand a chance against Titan's TV man, but you can see in this footage that the Skibidi Toilets are in no hurry to run away, just yet, which tells us that there's some hardcore carnage to come. Other than that, another very sad detail. The big speaker who was holding the door dies, and it's all because of Red Cameraman. I'll tell you soon what he did. By the way, I want to remind you that this big speaker we saw in 62 and 63, he was a very good agent who never gave up. Notice how many wounds he had. He came out victorious from many fights, but here he was unlucky. However, he died a heroic death. Give him a like if you're sorry he's no longer with us. Well, now let's get to the most interesting part. For the beginning, a couple of words about the twins. Apparently they are new heroes, which we will often see in future episodes. After all, they wear the same ties, which we have not seen anywhere before. That's all well and good, but now it's time to tell you a terrible secret about the Red Cameraman. Look carefully at this moment. His hands are at his sides, but the second the green glow disappears on this device, he takes his hand somewhere behind his back, and in addition, his head turns towards the device. I'll remind you that DAFUQ's signature color is green, and wherever it appears, this color accompanies it. This is the glow itself, or to be more precise, the interference is green. Most likely DAFUQ messed up the door closing mechanism with his strength, and that's why the big speaker man was able to hold that heavy door with his body. But notice what happens after the Red Cameraman somehow removes that green interference. Immediately after just a second, we see the doors start to push down on our poor big speaker with normal force. What happened here, you ask? And why did the Red Chamberlain do that? Is he a traitor? I want to remind you of the beginning of episode 65, where the Red Cameraman was not killed by the Skibidi policeman, even though he had the spears to do it. You might say that he didn't kill as he felt sorry for him. However, that's a little bit illogical, because this is the character who always killed. Just think back to the beginning of the same series, or you can think back to part 1 of episode 67. Skibidi the policeman killed everyone with no mercy, and here you see the Red Cameraman closed his hand, and he didn't touch him. Obviously, he's probably in cahoots with the Skibidi Toilets, and I assume he's helping the Skibidi Toilets. There's no other way I can interpret what we see at the end of part 4. And what do you think about it? Be sure to write your option in the comments, whether he is a traitor or a good agent, and it's all just a coincidence. Well, now we'll get to the topic of Skibidi Toilet's logo and what DAFUQ changed in this part. Who does not know originally DAFUQ had a version of part 4 with this logo in the form of 4 toilets? Of course I will blur it, because most likely not just so he removed it, and I'm a little bit afraid to show it on YouTube. What's interesting is that literally 2 hours later, he blurred the logo so much that you couldn't see anything at all. And you could see that this blur was done hastily, probably originally so was not planned. Then happened even more interesting thing. He deleted the old version and uploaded a new version of 4 parts, where we already see a different logo without blur. In this version of the logo, the 4 toilets have been moved to the sides, which means that it still has some plot significance. But the main logo in the center has changed coordinately. In this final version, we already see 3 toilets, one of which shoots from the eyes, which most likely refers us to G-Man. Besides how to change the logo and remove the blur, the reason for the removal of the first version of part 4 was a copyright issue. DAFUQ in his official Discord server made this statement. Some asshole just demanded my original audio from my video via Content ID. YouTube does almost nothing to protect against false claims at this point. I'll be reuploading part 4. This is the reason why he replaced not only the logo, but also the entire audio sequence. It's almost completely different, but it doesn't affect the plot much, except for one point. At the very end in the first deleted version, DAFUQ inserted a girl's scream, and then a fade out. And in this updated version, there is no scream, and all we hear is the Skibidi Toilet screaming as they sing their Skibidi song. At the end, don't forget that there's a lot of things I didn't have time to tell you, and if you want the second part of the breakdown of the whole 67 series, you can subscribe to the channel and turn on the bell. And while I make this video, you can watch my other videos, such as my recent video where I told all the secrets of the new TV man Titan. Thank you all for watching. See you soon.